comes to my mind when I see the jersey is Hugo Sanchez.
Simon.
He was one of the ones that wore that.
Yeah.
Well, my advice to you is if you're ever wearing it around El Super Mojado, just be careful because he can switch it without you even noticing it. So just be careful with that.
I'm from Mexico City, brother, so I'm used to be looking over my shoulder.
Eso es solo con las carteras, Hugo. Come on.
No, ese cabrón asalta contenedor y todo.
Ya
Okay,
estoy curado
super,
de espanto ahí, compa.
That's what's happening. That's what's happening right now. We're going to talk about El Repechaje because the games are set. Monterrey y Tigres couldn't make it to the first four, so they're going to be playing Repechaje. One game gives it all. This is all we have. So we have Monterrey, Puebla, Tigres, Toluca, Chivas, Necaxa y Santos, Pachuca. ¿Qué Pachuca por Toluca? Mándale saludos al Edwin Super, En noveno lugar, Edwin. Las Chivas quedaron más arriba.
Ahí está, para que siga hablando.
Before the show started, I was talking to Francisco, and he told me that he's an America fan. So I guess he doesn't have to talk about El Repechaje so much because he's on the top four. And the only thing, two things that I have to say. I'm a Chivas fan, Francisco. So just so you get it, but I'm pretty fair, and I les exijo mucho a las Chivas de cierta forma, no como el Super que lo tienen hipnotizado y es vendido de alguna forma. But what I'm saying is, they would have finished in 7th place. They would have made it to the playoffs anyway if it would have been the regular playoffs, the regular liguilla. But anyway, they did this fun thing. They want to make more money, so it's okay. 7th place, I think they're going to go through, hopefully, and they would be playing El Clásico Nacional in cuartos de final. Anything exciting you have to say about this kind of liguilla, Francisco? Do you like it?
Well, it's an interesting format. You know, needless to say, I mean, I remember as a kid when they tried the repechaje with 8 through 12. That was interesting. And now because of the pandemic, a lot of leagues around the world have been doing this. I know hockey did it to give, some teams more of an opportunity because of the sudden end of the season. The NBA did it as well. And baseball also added more teams. So I think it's an interesting format to try to give a lot of teams, an even chance. I know that usually when you get into a liguilla or into a playoff format, the 8th seed can, I'm not going to say easily, but there's a big chance that they can knock out the number 1 because those 8 seeds usually make it, all the way in, and they struggle to make it, but they get hot at the end. Right now, I just don't see a number 12, for example, or number 11, accomplishing that kind of feat. But I think it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be following, obviously. My dad is a huge Necaxa fan. My dad is watching you, by the way. Saludos, pa. So it's him and the other 20 Necaxa fans that they have, right? But he's going to be watching. The hottest team right now, they ended up with five wins. So it's the hottest team in Liga MX right now, despite their management selling the best players they have and then buying other ones and then doing that kind of recycling. But I think they're solid right now. They can go far. And you know what? When you talk about Chivas, there's something really interesting. And when you talk to former players, they tell you that a lot of the issues that they have sometimes, they can actually gel or make a team gel and make them, tighter and closer to each other. And, Chivas has been dealing with these issues of the field trouble throughout the season. A player completely sent off now, Dieter Villalpando, and they have 3 others that were suspended. But you know what? They still won, and they won against Monterrey. One of the teams try to get past this repechaje round. So I think if they're able to come together, man, I think they have a shot. And it's Chivas, then again, one of the toughest teams. And, I don't think the jersey scares other teams anymore. I think it's not about respect. It's about what you show on the field. But still, if they're able, they have a good team. So if they're able to, then again, come together after this big win against Monterrey, despite all the turmoil, I think they can go far, and it'll be an interesting team to watch throughout the liguilla.
Super.
Hugo, I don't think they'll be playing America, right? I mean, I think they play against the second place. That would be Pumas if they advance.
Okay, no, that might be true. That might be true. It all depends in what place they end up. Let's say Monterrey. Yeah, that 7th place anyway. That's correct.
I don't think they'll be going El Clásico just yet.
It'll happen eventually.
Yo sé que tienes ahora sí que es ansia de revancha, but you know, we have to wait.
Super, ¿te gusta este repechaje, este formato de liguilla o no?
Well, we talk about it, you know, and it's not about us liking it or not. I think they're doing it more to kind of like trying to recompensar un poco the liguilla that they lost from last tournament being canceled. So I think you know, it's something different. I guess this is a first for Liga MX. They had Repechaje before, but it was only two games, I believe, right? Only the 7th and 8th place, I believe that it was for Repechaje. Now it's a whole different...
But before that, it was when they were divided in groups. So it was the 2 best third places of each group. And if I'm not mistaken, the last time that Chivas, correct me, Super, if I'm wrong, the last time that Chivas played Repechaje, it was against Veracruz, and that's when they got the La Once in Toluca.
2006.
Just so everybody knows. Yeah, so, I mean, it happened many times that the last team who played Repechaje and then made it all the way through get the championship, but it's tough. I doubt it's going to happen. It could be one of because I can see Tigres being in the final. I can see Monterrey being in the final. More likely than Chivas, obviously, but same thing. The first 4, obviously, they look the strongest at this point. Now we see in the other side of the river, in the other side of the border, we see El Repechaje Gabacho, 2 games on November 20th. Just 1 game, if I'm not mistaken, and that's it. Make it to the knockoff round, and Miami, who by a miracle they made it through, which is good news for everybody, I guess. And then New England against Montreal. Which format do you like better, Francisco? Not about Repechaje itself, because this is just on the Eastern Conference and it's just somehow it worked that way. But the playoff style, which one do you like better, La Liguilla en Mexico or la MLS en Estados Unidos?
Well, I think, you know, what you brought up before about, you know, when I grew up, I remember we used to have Grupo 1, Grupo 2, Grupo 3, Grupo 4, right? And then you know, have the 2 best teams of each group make it. I know Mexico has always been different to other leagues. You know, Europe, I guess I grew up watching España and Italy as well. So, you know, you were used to seeing the best team overall making it. I know it's more exciting, I guess. And when it comes to American sports, I mean, we're used to it. I know my dad, you know, used to make fun of, you know, pretty much every team in the league making it to the playoffs, right? And also watching baseball, it used to be way tougher before. You know, you used to have 2 teams from each league, you know, playing the National League and American League Championship, and then just making it. It's tougher. But I think Super's point about trying to make up for some of the money that you lost in the other liguilla makes a lot of sense. So I think at the end, it's about economics, right? Sometimes you want to keep the tradition going, but at the same time, you want to bring more people in. You want to make more money. So it makes a lot of sense that, you know, in terms of TV rights, you add a few rounds and you can make more money. So I'm no one to really say if I like it or not. I mean, I just get used to it, and I think every team knows what they're dealing with every year. And, you know, because a lot of times people and fans like us, you know, can say, oh, this is unfair. You know, my team is getting, you know, bad treatment, whatever. It's, you know, teams don't know what they're getting into. So I guess once you get into the playoffs, anyone can win. I think there's a big difference, once again, in Mexico right now. If you compare number 11 and 12, Toluca and Puebla, to any other team in the Liguilla, even Necaxa might have a shot to make it to the semifinals. And when it comes to MLS, I mean, look at the standings right now. I think teams like San Jose, I don't know if Colorado can compete. I think it's about LAFC, Seattle, and Portland. So, you know, it really depends. I mean, you can have as many teams as you want, but sometimes, or most of the times, I should say, the top teams in each division will always prevail.
Of course. Also, I'll get to you, Super, in a second. Just to remind everybody that it's not about the leagues being greedy and trying to get some more money. It's for the benefit of everybody, players, teams, the league itself, the fans themselves, to get more money. It's part of it. It's a business too. So in order to do this kind of modifications, it's for the good of everybody. It's for the benefit of everybody. And Super, I'll get back to you in a second. I just have to saludos, porque Sergio Rivera Ruiz, ¿lo conoces, Francisco?
Mi jefe.
Ahí está, mira, saludos desde la Ciudad de México, saludos al jefe, gracias por sintonizarnos, nos están mandando saludos desde Canadá. Necaxa, más grande que las Chivas, Leo Hernández, Abraham Díaz, I can't believe Miami made it. Abraham, I can't believe it either. But I'm excited though. I'm new to the area. I went to one game already for Miami. They weren't even, fans weren't allowed. I went in as media, and I mean, same thing. Not talking about anything else but business. The business model of MLS, I take my hat off for that. Great job what they did with that stadium, with the whole thing is organized, and the team, they have to work on it, and they made it through. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Super. Do you see Miami doing anything important against Nashville?
Oof, that's going to be a tough game, man. I think that Miami, it's been very inconsistent, les está faltando, they're not quite there yet. So they're going to have a very tough game against Nashville. So, I mean, I don't see a clear winner on this one, but I have to support Pizarro. You know how it is. So let's hope that they do advance to the next round.
Francisco, you know los extranjeros, los mexicanos que están en la MLS, but you know especially this guy, Charlie Candle. El dicho para mí es, y a pesar de que no es el primer lugar, Seattle Sounders, para el LAFC le tocó bailar con la más fea. ¿Estoy en lo correcto o no? Más que el Sporting Kansas City, que fue el primer lugar. ¿El LAFC le tocó contra Seattle? ¿Les tocó bailar con la más fea o no?
Mira, es como una montaña rusa, como un roller coaster, porque ayer yo estaba haciendo un noticiero al mismo tiempo que el LAFC estaba jugando, entonces estábamos dando como los updates, ¿no? Entonces, con la victoria del LAFC, parecía que se iban a enfrentar a Minnesota. Ellos terminaban como 5 y Minnesota como 4. A mí no me gustaba Minnesota, por el clima sobre todo. Los jugadores de acá no están acostumbrados a jugar ahí, ¿no? Entonces, y siempre un clima así. Yo la verdad soy una de las personas que critica cómo diablos hacen estadios abiertos para jugar en noviembre. Octubre, noviembre es increíble, pero bueno, es lo que es, así lo quieren hacer. Creo que es una ventaja para el equipo local. Entonces, después de ahí, Portland le empata a LAFC y entonces LAFC pasa al 6 y entonces va a jugar contra Portland, que es el 3. Yo dije, me gusta más ese matchup jugando en contra de Portland. Es un equipo que se le puede ganar, se han jugado varias veces contra ellos, estamos completos y de repente Colorado anota y a pesar de que se me hace un poquito injusto que a pesar de que con todo el COVID y los casos que tuvieron, por ellos se cambió el formato, ellos califican y después se mueven los standings y finalmente a LAFC le toca jugar contra Seattle. Es un equipo que hizo ver mal a LAFC cuando el equipo fue a jugar para allá, pero aún así, pues no hay fans igual. Sé que el Central Link Field es uno de los estadios más bellos para ir a ver un partido de fútbol y sobre todo con los fans, pero no hay fans y creo que LAFC va a tener una gran oportunidad de tomar revancha del año pasado cuando siendo los grandes favoritos para arrasar con la liga, Seattle vino al Bank of California Stadium y les ganó. Entonces que es una gran oportunidad de revancha. Entonces creo que eso lo van a tener, esa espinita clavada lo van a traer los jugadores del LAFC cargando para este juego.
Entonces, digo, excelente respuesta, pero un sí o no de le tocó bailar con la más fea, fue que sí.
No, creo que Minnesota hubiera sido peor por el clima, porque
Okay.
no sabe, aparte no han jugado contra ellos este año, entonces no tienes ni idea qué esperar. Minnesota, por ejemplo, fue a Bank of California Stadium el año pasado y le ganó 2-0 a LAFC. Entonces, honestamente, no los hemos visto mucho. O sea, nosotros como analistas o como comentaristas para analizarlos y los jugadores también, creo que hay más familiaridad y es un poquito más común. Obviamente los dos equipos tienen lo mismo, ¿no? Que ya se han visto muchas veces. Entonces, yo creo que enfrentar a lo desconocido como Minnesota en Minnesota y con el clima no iba a ser bueno para el AFC. Entonces, esta es la segunda más fea. Vamos a decir que es la hermana un poquito menos fea.
Bueno, y a los extranjeros, we got Osvaldo Lanís y Fierro, there with el Pelado Almeida en San José. They're going against Puligol, el Sporting de Kansas City. Sporting that it's been, even with Pulido doing good performance throughout the season, this kind of season that we had, they're the clear favorites against San Jose. Am I correct, Francisco?
You know what? I like Sporting Kansas City. Well, let me just correct that. I hate Sporting Kansas City, but I like the way they play. I mean, they're gamers. They're a team that know how to deal with a lead. They know what to do when they're in tight spots. And they were the first team to actually snatch the 3 points at Bank of California Stadium, coming as a road team. So I think I love the way they're coached with Peter Vermees. I think that he's a professional coach. He was a good player back in the day. So I think even without Pulido, they still have a solid squad, and they know how to resolve when they're needed. Now, when talking about San Jose, I hate them even more. And I say this respectfully as a fan, just because San Jose beat LAFC about a month ago at Bank of California Stadium. But LAFC had the chance to score like 10 goals in the first half. And then San Jose, in 2 counterattacks at the end, they beat them. And I remember Matias Almeida being walking over just like on top of eggs. And we all thought he was going to get fired after that game. So I think I always jokingly say, we saved Matias Almeida. Us, LAFC, we saved him. And then all of a sudden, San Jose beats us again after we're coming out of this COVID situation with training being moved and the game review program. And they win again. They make it to the playoffs, and they once again celebrate on the field as if they won the Super Bowl. So I actually said, you know what, I'm going to enjoy them being eliminated in the first round after celebrating like that against my LAFC. So this is my fan side. It's on my broadcaster side, but so it's going to be a good series. But I think Kansas City has to be considered the favorite. And then again, I might enjoy seeing San Jose eliminated early.
You are pretty much, your words are hurting El Super Mojado's heart right now, because he has Matias Almeida, el pastor del rebaño, todavía lo tiene y por eso son sus favoritos. Y Fierro también, y Osvaldo Alanís, así que what do you have to respond to that, Super?
Well, listen,
San Jose.
No, well, listen, and I'm in for San Jose versus Sporting KC. Es un dilema right now, you know. Es Pulido de un lado, Almeida del otro. So, come on, man. This is gonna be a one of the games that Chivas fans were waiting for, you know, to see two teams facing off each other like that, where they have two of the greatest stars of the Chivas, you know, Almeida and Pulido. So over here, I don't see San Jose, beating Sporting KC, but you know, there's always hope. You never know with Almeida.
Well, in my opinion, and this is fans, because we're fans here, Francisco, so don't worry, don't feel that as in, this is not the broadcaster speaking. We are fans. We say whatever we want. We can say groserías si quieres. No pasa absolutamente nada. El Super es más pelado que un albañil de construcción y te dice de todo. Pero it's okay. It's okay. This is a game, fair game, everybody. So I think they should watch out for San Jose, and especially for Almeida, and celebrating that way and getting everybody pumped up and motivated about it. And that's where you should watch out, because that's where perfect scenario for Matias Almeida. That's where he wants his players to be at. So yeah, they probably won't be doing the best, though. They didn't do the best season, but this is what matters now. They made it to the playoffs, 8th place. They're playing against Sporting Kansas City, que están haciendo un trabajo fenomenal. Les va a tocar frío, but you have a motivated Matias Almeida with motivated squad that is ready to take on anything. And believe me, if they beat them, forget about it. They'll be probably the team to beat in the playoffs. And on the other side, de los que son 10 primeros que entran, para atrás está unos conocidos tuyos, Francisco. Javier Hernández y el Galaxy, what happened to them? Complete failure. Am I correct?
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, even though I work for LAFC and I love my LAFC, I also work for the LA Kings, and they are, you know, the brothers, you know, because of AEG being the mother company, if you will. So I'm keeping up with the Galaxy, and I had worked for them before. I have, you know, the ultimate respect for them. I know there's a huge rivalry, you know, between fan bases. You know, I have a lot of respect for them because I have worked for them before, and then again because of my relationship with the Kings. I remember being there with when Chicharito made it to Staples Center to drop the puck. I talked with Javier for a little bit. He got his Kings jersey, and I thought it would be great for the team to have a player like that. And it made a lot of sense because LAFC struck gold with Carlos Vela. And you guys know this well. It's not just about bringing a name. I mean, Galaxy had brought Beckham, who was great, but they brought Steven Gerrard, who was a complete flop, right? So it's not always about bringing the name. But LAFC struck gold with a player from Mexican descent like Vela. So it made sense, I think, for the LA Galaxy to go out and ask for Chicharito if he had any interest, and because of the connection with Dennis Teclos, I think it made a lot of sense to inquire about him. And I think it made sense to bring him. The only problem is that they're different positions. I mean, Carlos Vela is a playmaker. He could play as a number 10. He can be an 11. He can be a 9. And with Javier, I think he's a striker. He's a guy that has to be inside the box waiting for crosses and passes. And you don't have a guy like that to feed him like he used to have. I mean, had he had David Beckham, that would have been a whole different story. And I think Christian Pavón is a very good player. But at the same time, I just don't think he had the right team built around him. And that's an issue. So I don't know if it was Guillermo Barros Schelotto, inquiring about his availability. I don't know if he was the guy that asked for him. I don't know if he was more of a GM type of thought about bringing Javier. So I don't know really where that who dropped the ball really. But at the same time, the move had to be done. He had to be brought over, and you had to actually on the marketing side, the business side, plus then again of what he could do on the field. I mean, he was a no-brainer. You had to bring. A lot of people are saying, well, it was the wrong move, blah, blah, blah. We didn't know. No one knew, right? So then again, you have to counter LAFC bringing a Mexican star like Chicharito. It made a lot of sense. Unfortunately, it really hasn't worked out for them.
Cuidado cómo hablas del Chicharito, porque aquí se van a sentir.
Le diste al clavo, mi chavo. Le diste al clavo. I've been saying that for the longest time. And it didn't work this year. Yeah, I get that, all right? It was a horrible year. And I've been saying this, that Chicharito this is not new for LA Galaxy. They've been wanting Chicharito for years. They've been the rumors have always been there, that they were trying to reach him in the past. And this year is just, let's just face it, this is just a weird, year. The pandemic just, did a lot of damage to not just the LA Galaxy, but to a lot of teams, a lot of other teams. And one thing that you did say, and I agree with you, is that they didn't no formaron un equipo alrededor de Chicharito like LAFC did with Vela. Vela is like, he was the first player that they brought to the team, and then they kind of like surround him with not only his talent, but they got a great team. They got like todas sus filas están completas, and they have a great midfielder, and then the forwards, no se diga, mira qué pasó con ahora tuvieron the Golden Boot again on Rossi,
Sure.
So this team is just está bien conformado, and that's what LA Galaxy didn't do with Chicharito. Now you said it, there's no one to feed him the balls that he needs to score, and that you add the injuries and the pandemic, and it's just awful. But I still think that Chicharito could be one answer for LA Galaxy, and let's not give up on him because he tiene la trayectoria, tiene la experiencia, y pues yo creo que todavía tenemos mucho que ver por Chicharito.
Te dije, Francisco, es un Chicha believer. It's okay. No, claro que sí. Aparte, no porque sea ex Chiva ni nada, porque a todos los jugadores mexicanos les deseamos bien en el extranjero, aunque yo creo que está desconcentrado por completo, más allá de que no le construyeron el equipo alrededor ni nada. Javier Hernández, en lo personal, está fuera de sintonía. Vamos a tomar un
ya
pequeño...
Te dije, Hugo, que me traiga de su mentor.
Coach Life. Sí, claro. Vamos a tomar un descanso, chavos. Ahorita venimos de regreso. No se despeguen porque vamos a irnos partido por partido con el repechaje. Recuerden, Hincha Brand Clothing. Vean nada más que ticha, Buena.
Chao.
Vamos a estar regalando unas en social media, en Instagram, Hugo Deportes, pero también sigan a Francisco X Rivera. ¿Cómo te encontramos, Francisco?
Francisco X Rivera, todo seguido en Instagram, Francisco X Rivera, mi nombre también en Facebook, y FX-Rivera en Twitter. Y como les decía, todas están verificadas, entonces no se dejen engañar, ¿eh? No hay que me hackean, que me photoshopearon, soy yo. Ahora sí que no, yo no lo voy a sacar como otros que luego dicen, es que yo no fui, que me agarraron la cuenta.
Súper, que te hizo 2 cuentas ahí piratas, ten cuidado. Ten cuidado. No se despeguen, banda, regresamos en un par de minutos. What's up everybody? Estamos de regreso en el ETO Podcast. Recuerden de visitar el website de Intra Brand Clothing. Ya que estén adentro, denle click al ETO Store. Ahí pueden encontrar como varios modelos de camisetas de pura calidad. Ok, mi super. Vamos a estar regalando una. Recuerden, ETO Store en Intra Brand Clothing. Recuerden darle click al ETO Store y ahí van a encontrarlas. Estamos hoy con Francisco X Rivera, que nos acompaña para este episodio. We've been talking about MLS, we've been talking about the playoffs that are coming up, la liguilla, el repechaje, everything. El Super ya le dijo que era un Chicha believer. ¿También te cae bien Carlos Vela o qué, Super? Ay, papá.
Claro. Es el mejor jugador de la MLS, still. And we have a lot more to see from him.
Good to hear that. But let's talk about Repechaje that is coming up. It's the new format. From the 5th place to the number 12 en la tabla general, they're going to play one game, ready to go, and whoever wins goes to octavos de final. This is what's going to happen. We have Monterrey, equipo considerado grande por ellos mismos, igual que Tigres. Les duele un poco más cuando les dicen que no son considerados grandes, pero van a estar enfrentándose al Toluca, las Chivas contra el Necaxa, duelo de rayados, y también Santos contra Pachuca 8 y 9. Nuevamente saludos a Edwin, que Pachuca quedó en 9º. Como Río de Janeiro.
Dale ahí al Edwin.
Francisco, Monterrey, Puebla. Obviously, it's going to be in Monterrey. This is just easy peasy for Monterrey?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think it would be a terrible shock for Monterrey not to make it. I have a little place in my heart for Rayados, and I know a lot of my friends who either played for Tigres or Tigres fans will hate me. But because of my years calling Rayados games on FS1 and Fox Sports West, anytime I go to Monterrey, they sort of know me as the English voice of Rayados, and they treat me so well every time I go to the stadium or the media down there. So, I have a kind of a little spot there for Monterrey in my heart. And still, man, I mean, they're loaded. I mean, I look at their team, even more than Tigres, even more than America, even more than Cruz Azul. They're loaded. They have like 2 complete starting 11s. It's incredible what they've done. And when you go to Monterrey, the money around the city, it's incredible. I mean, businesses, everything. It's a town that has boomed, the last few years in Mexico, and they have the resources. I mean, more than now that America with Televisa going through a funk right now, and all the teams not spending so much money, it's just unreal how much money Monterrey has spent. And you talk about Pavón, about Jansen, Akeloba, looking at the roster right now. Celso, who's been great for them, and Jesus Gallardo, who was an experiment by Juan Carlos Osorio, el profe, cuando lo puso de lateral izquierdo y les funcionó. So they have a loaded squad. So I think Monterrey, without any trouble, will make it to the next round. Puebla has has one of the most shocking or one of the big surprises of this tournament, Santiago Ormeño. He has been amazing playing for Puebla. He might be a national team product at some point. So he's probably the only bright spot that I can see for Puebla right now. But at the same time, I just don't see how Monterrey can lose that opportunity to make it to the playoffs.
What about motivation? Super. You want to remind him what happened on last game of Monterrey? So what kind of motivation they're going to get to the repechaje?
Tienen la ahora sí que la excusa, right? The excuse that they play Copa MX y que la ganaron, ¿no? Ganaron Copa MX and que no era el equipo titular. But I wouldn't, I agree with him that they have a team that is one of the strongest teams in the last few years, and they're in 5th place, man. So if I was Puebla, I wouldn't dream too high. I would just go in there and play the game, and ahora sí que a ver qué pasa, ¿verdad? But Monterrey, I see them advancing, man.
Okay, vamos con Tigres contra Toluca. Before we talk about this game, Francisco, I don't know how active you are on social media, but I don't know if you follow André Pierre Guignac. Se dio un cerrón con todo mundo, con todos, hasta el vecino que le escribía lo que sea, le contestaba con David Faitelson, con varios por ahí, se estuvo tirando. Para mí eso es desconcentración, es tiempo de liguilla, métanse a lo suyo, no anden en Twitter, no anden en eso y no se calienten la cabeza. Still with that, they play against Toluca, which Toluca, they have a name pretty much. That's it. To me, that's enough to be careful with Toluca. Any problem for Tigres on this game of repechaje?
Mira, creo que no, pero contestando la primera parte de tu pregunta, una de las cosas que me di cuenta los años que estuve trabajando como reportero de cancha de la selección mexicana para Fox y para FS1, me di cuenta de qué tan diferente es la cobertura de medios en México que en Estados Unidos. Aquí todo lo hacemos correctamente. Aquí siempre llegamos con el PR guy. Hey, can I have an interview? Can I talk to your guy? Yeah, no problem. We'll do it, tomorrow, whatnot. En México todo es así de, sí, háblale al jugador directo y vamos a hacer la entrevista. Es una cobertura totalmente diferente. Y una de las grandes diferencias también aquí es que aquí nos concentramos en el deporte, nos concentramos en la cancha, con algunas excepciones. Allá te tiran a matar todo el tiempo, y por eso los jugadores, y yo entendí cuando a veces son tan defensivos, y les decía, oye, es que yo no vine a hablar de tu vida privada, o de cuando la regaste en el partido anterior, yo vine a hablar de lo que va a pasar en el partido siguiente, a dar una previa, que los fans conozcan más de ti. Otro lado, sobre todo la gente de Estados Unidos, o los gringos, que conozcan más del jugador de la selección mexicana, no del jugador que se fue de borracho, o lo que sea, ¿no? Entonces, no justifico lo de André Pierre Gignac, de que se dé un cerrón con todos, como dices, pero al mismo tiempo creo que es difícil como jugador no engancharte cuando te están tirando a matar todo el tiempo. Y es una cosa, o sea, yo también digo una cosa, cuando ganas varios millones al año, digo, está incluido en tu cláusula de te van a estar tirando y matando en social media, no hagas nada, no contestes. Creo que se justifican los millones que ganas para lo que te atacan, ¿verdad? Es nada más callarte y no meterte. Pero pues hay algunos jugadores que se calientan, se enganchan. No estoy de acuerdo con eso. Aún con todas esas distracciones, creo que igual Tigres como Monterrey tiene tremendo roster y pues no debe tener problemas con Toluca.
¿Qué Pachuca por Toluca? Súper. ¿El Toluca se la va a hacer de emoción?
No, man. El Tuca, like I said, these tournaments usually are Tigres' tournaments, man. They've been winning este campeonato in December quite often. If you go back and look at the statistics, Tigres, sus torneos son los de invierno. Así que I think they won't have any issues, passing over Toluca.
All right, so let's get to number 7. Chivas, las super Chivas contra los hidrocálidos, los Rayos del Necaxa. Chivas viene de victoria importantísima, que no le quito crédito a Chivas, y como les dije, soy fanático de Chivas toda la vida, pero le doy más importancia a lo de que dejó de hacer Monterrey por lo que hizo Chivas, porque era el 1-1, el 1-0 bajo hasta el 80. Es en 10 minutos. le dan la vuelta y aparte tienen los problemas, como lo mencionó Francisco ya hace rato. Dieter Villalpando queda fuera, la Chofis queda fuera prácticamente porque ya no va a jugar, 2 jugadores más quedan fuera. Vienen con problemas fuera de cancha, ahora se tienen que enfrentar a Necaxa, que quedó en 10º lugar. Súper, comienzo contigo. ¿Qué le pasa? No, ya sé, ni te pregunto si va a pasar o no. Te pregunto porque sé que vas a decir que van a pasar las Chivas. Pero ¿cómo va a pasar que avanza Chivas?
Mira, te la dejo ahí. El mismo resultado, 3-1. Se están conectando, man. Esto fue es como un boost de adrenalina. So they can start these playoffs, con el pie derecho. And let's remember that they haven't made a liguilla since they were champions in 2017. So la ansia de ganar is there now. And this group of players, this is their time, man. If you want to shine, they se reforzaron chingón, le metieron billete. This is the time for them to show that it was worth the investment, So I think, like I said, se llenaron de adrenalina with this victoria de 3-1 sobre Monterrey, and I think that's going to help them. Por lo menos con van a ir con la mentalidad en alto.
Francisco, not to be good to the people. I don't remember who you said that it's a Necaxa fan together with the other 20, which there is a lot of Necaxa fans. Necaxa is an old school team, so I think there's plenty Necaxa fans. But do you think it's going to be a problem for Necaxa to get to Chivas or no?
They had an issue with that. Yeah, of course, they're a traditional team. And my dad, who's watching, he told me he went to see Pelé and Santos playing against Necaxa back in 1958. They used to be the original Clásico against Atlante before América and Guadalajara was that game. The problem, according to my dad, is the fact that they converted to Atlético Español in the late 70s, early 80s. New owner, new uniform, new identity. And that's when they lost a lot of fans. And when I was a kid, they did amazingly. I mean, they had Ricardo Peláez, they brought in Alberto García Aspe, Octavio Becerril, they had Raton Zárate, Ivo Basay, one of the greatest teams ever assembled. They won 3 championships in the 90s. Sorry, Super, but they beat, and Hugo, but they beat Chivas once in a final.
Alex Aguinaga, no se te olvida.
Alex Aguinaga against Claudio Suárez and Pulpo Zúñiga, mis brothers, que también les mando un abrazo. So, they're a new team now in Aguascalientes. I think they're very suited for the smaller stadium, smaller venue, smaller town. So anyway, just talking about the game now, una de las conversaciones que he tenido con mi papá es la frustración de los aficionados de Necaxa por tantas ventas de jugadores, ¿no? Los últimos años después de que regresan a Primera División. Y los podemos listar desde los de Chivas, Carlos Calderón, Dieter Villalpando, con Santos, Jesús Isijara, Brian Fernández, dejando al equipo en medio de playoffs, lo vendieron cuando estaban en la liguilla contra Monterrey el año pasado. En diciembre pasado se fue a Portland, no tuvo suerte. Edson Puch, Víctor Dávila, o sea, tantos nombres que han vendido y se están metiendo mucho dinero. El problema con un equipo así es necesitas un balance con los fans, porque sí, en cuestión de dinero te está yendo bien. Estás comprando un jugador en $1 y le estás vendiendo en 10, hagamos las cuentas. Tienes bastante dinero ahí, pero el momento que no empiezas a balancear eso comprando jugadores nuevos, creo que mucha gente se va a voltear, mucha gente se va a enojar, se va a alienar y va a decir, ¿sabes qué? No te apoyo más. ¿Para qué estoy comprando mi boleto si me estás vendiendo a todos los jugadores? Pero aún así, lo increíble de esto, Necaxa, as I said, the hottest team in Liga MX. They were the only team that closed with 5 victories at the end of the tournament, not even León, who closed with 40 points at the end of the season. So, I think they're hot. I think both teams are going to be motivated. Necaxa, because they barely made it as one of the hottest teams. And that's what I mentioned in the past. When a number 8 beats a number seed, that's because they struggle to make it, but they get hot at the right time. I think that's what happened to Necaxa. And Chivas might be in a similar situation then again, because of all the field issues. Are they going to be able to come together? I think it could be the most attractive game in this repechaje.
Ay, asustaste al súper aquí con eso.
No, le diste del clavo. Y no te agüites que yo solo veo a Angulo metiendo 2 de los goles que dije que 3-1. Darle con una de sus monedas de cambio.
Okay, and the last one, we have Pachuca Santos that, of course, we're going to talk to Edwin at some point because Pachuca ended up in the 9th place. They're playing Santos. As you said, Francisco, if Chivas Necaxa, it would be the hottest game on Repechaje. The other two, the first two that we mentioned, because of Monterrey and because of Tigres, I think they're okay to watch. But are you guys excited, or do you guys get excited for un Santos Pachuca en un repechaje? If not, convince me why should I get excited about this game?
No.
All right.
But yo no soy de allá, digo, I know a lot of people, and I say hello to all the Santos fans. I know a lot of people from Torreon as well. You know, historically, they were a terrible team when I was growing up in the early 90s. And all of a sudden, they started, you know, getting the right players, Benjamín Galindo, Daniel Guzmán, Héctor Adomaitis, and all of a sudden, they became a powerhouse. But this is not what I was used to before. But Santos has become, you know, such an important part of the playoffs of the Liguilla every year, with the years of Jared Borghetti, Pony Ruiz, Mariano Trujillo, et cetera. So, you know, they're a team to be reckoned with. And what they needed to do yesterday, they needed 4 goals in order to overcome Pachuca in the table and make it. And all of a sudden, they get hot in the second half, and they scored 4 in a matter of like 30 minutes. So they knew what they needed to do. They got hot also at the right time in the right game, and they were able to get past Mazatlan to be able to host that first round. But without having people in the stands, I haven't been to Estadio TCM and never made it to Estadio Corona before, but I know they're one of the rowdiest groups of fans in Mexico. So I think it's going to hurt them not to have people in the stands. So I think Pachuca has a shot as well.
Super. Anything to say about Edwin and su Pachuca, or you going to give it to them or Santos?
Yo se lo doy I think at Santos, man. I think Santos, like you said, they got hot in that last game and scoring 4 goals. I mean, no vamos a hablar mucho del rival, ¿verdad? Pero scoring 4 goals always gives you a boost, you know. And I think they're gonna have it not so easy, but I see them with the advantage over Pachuca.
Aquí el productor me está dando lata en hablando, pero súper, tienes toda la razón. Mira, esto es como queda el repechaje. Entonces, solo para repasar, Monterrey se enfrenta en Monterrey, recuerden, todavía no hay fanáticos en las gradas, se enfrenta al Puebla. Tigres recibe a Toluca, que es un juego interesante. El mejor, de acuerdo a todos por decisión unánime, es Chivas enfrentándose a Necaxa. Y Santos ante Pachuca, con todo respeto para Edwin y para todos los fanáticos de Santos y de Pachuca, no me convencieron para que lo viera. Vamos a ver igual a qué horas juegan.
Nos vamos al repechaje de la MLS mejor.
No creo que vayan a jugar el mismo día. Hasta el 20 juegan los de la... bueno, ya no queda tanto. Estamos a 9.
¿No te acuerdas que es fecha FIFA? They don't play this until like the following week, I think.
But that's what I heard, that Miami doesn't want to let Pizarro go to the fecha FIFA because of the repechaje.
Yeah,
of course.
That's what they're fighting about. I don't know, man.
All right, good thing we have the predictions of what's going to happen on repechaje. We're going to be bothering you then, Francisco, over social media. Probably send you a few clips if you made it or if you didn't make it. So just be aware. It's always like that. It always happens, except when Super Mojado gets his inside Walter Mercado type of thing, and he just comes up with the right scores for all the games. But that's why we have for today, guys. We have Hincha brand clothing as always. I just received my. Did you get yours, Super?
Simón, ya las vamos a estar estrenando próximamente, and we're giving away some of them too, right? So.
Yo te recomiendo, Francisco, tú lo tienes ahí cerca, los de Hincha Brand Clothing.
Órale.
Calidad, brother, calidad. Aparte, si te gusta coleccionar, apoyando al talento latino como siempre, cae bien. Aparte, como te digo, es calidad, se nota de primera. Me gusta hasta ahora lo que he visto. Entonces vamos a estar regalando unas on Instagram. So guys, be ready on that. I will be giving the instructions on all that. And Maybe, Francisco, if you want, you can participate also, and maybe you get one for free.
Dale, como ahorita en honor al equipo número 12 del repechaje, que se pongan la del Puebla, de una vez que se mochen.
Pues ahí les decimos a los hinchas.
Ahí te mandamos un camote.
No, mejor una playera.
¿Qué pues? Te digo,
oye, ya ves que
no respetan.
Los mexicanos gratis hasta las puñaladas prácticamente, entonces
así
me incluyo
es lo que
en
dice,
esa lista.
Es el dicho del súper, dice gratis hasta un piquete de lápiz, ¿no? ¿Súper o qué? Te tengo que defender, Francisco. No te dejes, chingado, ¿cómo que te van a mandar camotes? No.
Es que está pidiendo la del Puebla.
Oye, no, es que depende de dónde vienes. Dice súper que es piquete de lápiz y yo te digo que piquete con una pluma Montblanc.
Tranquilo. Gratis hasta los rodillazos. Remember, tenemos fecha FIFA, el Tri va contra Corea y después contra Japón, si no estoy equivocado.
Simón, yeah.
Any predictions on that, guys?
A walk in the park. Se van de paseo los paisas ahí. No, I think it should be some interesting games. Los equipos asiáticos han estado levantando últimamente, así que there should be decent games. And but I see Mexico, winning both of them.
Before I get to you, Francisco, I've seen a lot of hype of el Tata Martino y que va a tener al equipo completo relativamente, pero que va a tener a Raúl Jiménez, al Chucky y al Tecatito en buen momento, los tres. I don't know if they had him before. They're going to have Linus as well, which was a good compliment last time they played.
No manches.
But you have to mention it. But I might be wrong, but there's a lot of hype over social media that they're going to be together and they are right now and están pasando un buen momento. Anything to say about that, Francisco, que lo sigues más de cerca?
Yeah, you know what, I think this is the biggest front three that Mexico has had maybe ever. I think, Raúl Jiménez is on a roll. He has demonstrated what he can do in the EPL. Tecatito, obviously, as a right back, has done a great job in Portugal, but I think he has a lot to offer as a winger. And then you bring Irving as well. He's a guy that I've always been a fan of. I used to call his games in the U20 World Cups when he started, when he was still a young buck before making it to Pachuca. So I've always been a big fan. So I think up front, there's no doubt that they can match up with most of the teams in the world. The problem is from midfield back, and that's a place where Rafa Marquez is gone, and Hector Moreno is already past his prime. So who's going to be Nestor Araujo? Same thing. We all thought, even from Juan Carlos Osorio's days, that he was going to be the guy in Mexico's center back section. So I honestly don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put my hands in the fire for Mexico. Talking about their defense, I think midfield-wise and forwards, they're loaded. But once again, is that defending part. One of the games that I remember the most that I was a part of, Mexico against Germany in the semifinals during Confederations Cup in Russia. I was right behind Ochoa's goal when Germany scored the first 8 minutes of the game. I remember seeing Hector Moreno's face, and he was like, "What the heck? Who the heck are we facing?" And that was Germany's B team. That's why we thought Germany was the favorite to win it all. And then they flopped in the last World Cup, right? But the Germans were loaded. They have two or three different teams, and I remember seeing that face. It's like, what are we gonna do? How are we really, countering these guys? And if not for Rafa Marquez in the second half that he was brought in, that would have been, historically bad. Maybe like a Mexico-Chile game, like the 7-0. So I think that's been a weak spot for Mexico in a while. Even though if you look back, they're defensively and goalkeeping wise, Mexico had always been a very strong team in the back line. And now I think it's a completely different issue. I think then again, up front, they're loaded. I think they can match up against most teams in the world. But at the same time, I still don't trust them. And it's going to be interesting facing, teams like Japan and Korea that are so well organized and so good in counter-attacking. How are you going to contrast? How are you going to counter a team that, may struggle in the back a little bit? So there might be two very interesting challenges for Tata Martino and the team.
And the prediction would be?
Probably cup of ties wouldn't be bad for Martino. I wouldn't say without saying which one. I think that they'll win one, they'll tie the other one. I think I trust Martino a lot. I've been through a lot of different regimes, and I think Martino's the right coach for them. I think he's been able to gel with the team, and I think they're gonna do well. They might get to el quinto partido finally. So I think he can do well with Mexico.
Fair enough. If you ask El Super, he's gonna tell they should bring el pollo briseño a la selección.
A la Liz.
No manches. Pero ahí tienen al Tiva, no se olviden del Tiva.
Hay varios jóvenes buenos. Bueno, vamos, esa es cuestión de que cada quien nos pongamos la camiseta del Tata Martino, como siempre y como cada 4 años nos ponemos, que me encanta, por cierto, y yo soy de los primeros que me pongo la camiseta de entrenador, y me pongo más o menos así como la que trae Francisco, me pongo de entrenador desde el estilo de Miguel Mejía Barón, y le tiramos ahí a darle con todo. Guys, thank you for being today with us. Remember, everybody over there, go to Incha Brand Clothing, click on ETO store, and then you're going to find all the models. At least, if you're not going to buy, at least take a look of which one would you like to get for free. Send your comments at Hugo Deportes on Instagram. That's where I check the most. If not, en Twitter. Y ahí vamos a estar viendo qué tipo de camisa les vamos a andar regalando para que la banda se la ponga. Incha Brand Clothing, click on ETO store. You can find all the models. They look fantastic. The quality is fantastic. And of course, we are supporting all the Latino businesses and people like Francisco, which is setting the bar high for all the Latinos in this country, that we're doing this. Everybody's doing this, persiguiendo la chuleta como debe ser. Ok, mi super.
Claro, y pues para todos los gorrones, por favor, repórtense. Que tenemos las camisetas listas para regalar, así que
ya estuvo, ahí estaremos al pendiente. Bueno, Francisco, gracias por acompañarnos hoy. Unas últimas palabras que le quieras regalar a la banda.
No, muchas gracias, aprecio las palabras, y digo, lo importante es estar muy unidos, creo que ayudarnos unos a los otros. No importa que mexicanos o salvadoreños, no, entre todos hay que estar bien unidos y echarnos para adelante, que creo que es lo más importante. Y digo, para mí es un placer. Digo que si lo que yo puedo hacer ayuda a inspirar a alguien, pues para mí es un honor, ¿no? Entonces, es una de las cosas que he tratado cuando la gente se acerca, sean fans, sean estudiantes, cuando doy conferencias en las escuelas o algo así, pues inspirar a la banda, ¿no? Inspirar a la gente porque creo que pues todos somos hijos adoptivos de Estados Unidos, y creo que esta es una época donde se ha demostrado que la unidad puede mover cosas importantes, y no solo por una enemistad contra alguien, digamos, ¿no? Sino porque podemos hacer cosas positivas juntos. Entonces creo que lo más importante para mí pues es inspirar al chavito que está al lado y decir, ¿sabes qué? Si yo lo hice, si yo vine a este país y pude triunfar de alguna manera o hacer algo que a mí me ha dado un beneficio a la comunidad, pues cualquiera puede hacerlo, ¿no? O sea, que no digamos, no es que ya estamos pues derrotados o estamos ya en desventaja. No, hay que unirnos todos y demostrarnos unos a los otros que podemos darnos el ejemplo y podemos salir todos adelante.
Eso es todo. Gracias por esas buenas palabras. Bien dicho. Y poner atención a todo eso. Siempre estar al pendiente de todos. El Produ te va a mandar un aplauso ahorita mismo, ¿sí? Ahí se fue.
Aplauso.
Eso es todo. Pues gracias por estar con nosotros.
Déjame rápidamente a mi Joe, que me invitó, un gran abrazo. Nos tocó trabajar cuando yo empecé como comentarista en Fox Sports en español en 2006. Él estaba iniciando también su carrera en producción. Entonces ya we go way back con el buen Joe. Entonces y nos tocó trabajar varios años juntos también. Entonces también le mando un gran saludo, un gran abrazo, y le agradezco la invitación.
Claro que sí. Pues aquí estamos y gracias por acompañarnos. Recuerden, síganos en redes sociales, Incha Brand Clothing. Los estaremos viendo. Nos vemos aquí el jueves. El jueves aquí nos vemos. Que estén bien, banda. Saludos. Pórtense bien.